The time by Carrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
Jamaica seeks global relief, Guyana pushes financing, and Hollywood bidding war heats up. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, December 22, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Jamaica moves to tap the Global Loss and Damage Fund after a 41% GDP shock as government eyes grant-based relief for recovery. On the regional front, the Private Sector Commission of Guyana urges entrepreneurs to move quickly on new financing support designed to ease access to capital. And over on the global stage, a mergers and acquisitions frenzy ignites as Warner Brothers draws rival bids, setting the stage for a major media showdown. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the CBX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why CBX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never ever ever wanna calm down. No, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Your garden coming along well.
Thanks, man. You know, it's a long time I've been working at it.
I can see that. I saw you mail by the gate, so I'll pick it
thank
up
you.
for you. But tell me something. Why are you still receiving dividend checks by mail?
What do you mean about that?
You need to give JCSD a mandate.
You know, me hear about the mandate them. I'm going over there right now.
A mandate means giving instructions to the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, JCSD, relating to the handling of your dividend or interest payment. There are 3 types of mandates. The first is a bank mandate. The second is a hold mandate. Lastly, we have what we call a third-party mandate, with which the investor may wish to send their dividend or interest to someone other than the parties on their account or institution of their choice.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-9235-111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading. Better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with Jamaica moving to tap global climate compensation after a 41% GDP shock. Jamaica is moving to access the newly operational Global Loss and Damage Fund following an economic shock equivalent to 41% of GDP after Hurricane Melissa. The fund, created under the UN Climate Framework, is designed to support vulnerable countries facing losses tied directly to climate change. Speaking during a recent forum, Minister of Environment and Climate Change Matthew Samuda says Jamaica could be among the first countries globally to submit a full application.
So before us now, we would hope as the sun sets on 2025, will be a new rising. And I think your visit to Jamaica, a single day after the fund is open for application, is indeed a good sign. And I would also like to acknowledge your team, juxtaposed against other teams, not because we are asking the IDB, hint, hint, to send a message, but very simply because we have seen the multilateral bureaucracies absorb funds with no real tangible results for SIDS and LDCs. It is unique to see a fund be agreed at COP 2028 and to see a fund operationalized before COP 30.
That was Minister of Environment and Climate Change Matthew Samuda. Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Loss and Damage Fund, Ibrahim Majong, says early funding from the facility is completely grant-based.
Consent that we have addressed, what we've just launched, $250 million, is grant only. You're not borrowing money to access our funding. You're not using that to go and buy a policy for parametric insurance. You're not using that for guarantee or equity, whatever instrument that you have. And that is recognizing in our early intervention, We should not be adding any burden to the countries actually that have not created the problems that we're trying to fix. Again, that's addressing your concerns as the seat in terms of what do we put on the table as well.
That was Executive Director of the Loss and Damage Fund, Ibrahima Jiong. Jamaica has secured US $93 million in new climate financing following high-level negotiations at the recent UN climate talks, strengthening the country's recovery and resilience push in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. Special Envoy for Climate Change and the Environment, Ambassador Dale Weber, says funding was mobilized over just 4 days of meetings, signaling growing international confidence in Jamaica's climate strategy and fiscal framework, even as the country faces mounting climate-related costs.
Having returned or having gone to COP in Belém, he had a single focus, as he told me, to come back with enough money to try and change some of what we're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, he was successful. Over 4 days of meetings, and I watched him in operation, he came back with $93 million.
That was Jamaica's Special Envoy for Climate Change and the Environment, Ambassador Dale Weber. Grace Kennedy has moved to fully own one of Jamaica's most iconic food manufacturers, striking a deal to acquire Fonterra Cooperative Group's stake in Dairy Industries Jamaica Limited, DIJL. This acquisition cements 100% ownership of the company behind the legendary Tasty Cheese brand. The acquisition ends a decades-long joint venture and hands Grace Kennedy complete control of a business that has been a cornerstone of Jamaica's manufacturing sector since the 1960s. DIJL is the only producer in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean that manufactures processed cheese in a can, with Tasty Cheese standing as one of the country's most recognizable consumer brands. Grace Kennedy Group CEO Frank James says the move is driven by performance and long-term strategy, pointing to DIJL's consistent growth, profitability, expanding product portfolio, and widening export footprint. With full ownership, the group now has greater flexibility to scale operations, deepen innovation, and strengthen its leadership position in the dairy segment. In other news, Honey Bun is selling more but earning less after making one of its boldest investment moves in years. The junior market-listed bakery posted record revenue of Jamaican $4.18 billion for the year ended September 30, 2025, driven by stronger retail and wholesale demand. But net profit fell sharply to Jamaican $109.2 million, down from $230.1 million a year earlier, as rising costs and heavy expansion spending squeezed margins. The company's operating profit slid to Jamaican $128.6 million, less than half of last year's level, with expenses climbing across labor, utilities, distribution, and lease-related charges. Staff costs alone surged past Jamaican $1.25 billion, reflecting a larger workforce and higher operating intensity. Behind the pressure is a major growth play. Honey Bun poured nearly Jamaican $894 million into new property, plant, and equipment, transforming its asset base and lifting total assets to almost $3 billion Jamaican dollars. To fund that push, the company took on Jamaican $324.6 million in long-term loans, pushing its gearing ratio up to 40.4% from 35.7% a year earlier. Cash also tightened. Year-end cash balances fell to $193.4 million Jamaican dollars, less than half of 2024 levels, even as the company generated Jamaican $639.2 million in operating cash flow, much of which was reinvested into the business. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 107 stocks, of which 41 advanced, 42 declined, and 24 traded firm. Leading today's winners are Margaritaville Turks, Caribbean Assurance Brokers, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, and Express Catering. While leading today's losers are Pan Jamaica Group, Sterling Investments USD, Cygnus Credit Investments 10.50% preference shares due 2025 Class C, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund SCC. Trading activity resulted in the following movements of the JSE indices. The main index declined by 2,628.98 points, or 0.84%, to close at 310,863.89 points. The junior market index advanced by 31.74 points, or 0.97%, to close at 3,293.50 points.
The market education feature was brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
In today's market education feature, we'll discuss Net Promoter Score. A Net Promoter Score, NPS, is a customer experience metric used to gauge how loyal and satisfied customers are with a company's products and overall service. A strong NPS typically indicates a healthy business, one that values customer insights, delivers offerings people appreciate, and maintains high-quality customer support. Organizations view NPS as a strong indicator of customer satisfaction. It reveals not only which customers are loyal, but also which are likely to promote the business through the positive word of mouth. A low score suggests a high number of detractors, which can limit growth by discouraging potential customers. It also helps predict the likelihood of negative word of mouth, since dissatisfied customers may actively advise others against buying a company's products or services.
The market education feature was brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. Oh, no, no. Yeah, yeah,
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. The Private Sector Commission, PSC, of Guyana is sounding the alarm for entrepreneurs. Move fast or miss out. The Commission is urging businesses to tap the government's new zero collateral and zero interest loan facilities, calling them a rare opening to lock in a cheap capital as competition in Guyana's economy heats up. President Dr. Irfan Ali announced that small and medium-sized enterprises can now access up to $10 million in zero collateral financing through the SME Development Bank. Micro businesses can secure up to $3 million with no interest and no collateral. The PSC says the move could supercharge business expansion just as global investors turn their eyes to Guyana. PSC Chairman Jerry Gouvaye Jr. says the organization is already on the ground helping local firms form consortiums with both local and foreign partners to scale up, compete, and win bigger contracts. He also revealed plans for a business support desk in 2026, offering free IDB-backed consultations on business plans, feasibility studies, and supply chain management. Gouvaye says the strategy is clear. Pair easy financing with technical firepower and position local businesses to stay ahead as Guyana pulls in surging levels of global investment. Digicel is switching off the past and powering up the future in Barbados. The telecoms provider is moving ahead with the decommissioning of its 2G network, a key step in modernizing and hardening its operations across the island. Digicel Barbados Chief Technology and Information Officer Sherrod Alain says the move will deliver a more reliable network and better support Barbados's wider digital transformation agenda.
2G network is a very old mobile network which was originally made for calls and text, and though it has been very reliable for many years, it no longer fits the needs of customers. It no longer has the necessary speeds nor security that is required. By retiring our 2G network, this will allow us to strengthen our existing 3G, 4G, and our newly launched 5G network. This will allow customers to experience faster speeds, more reliability, and more security. We understand that a small number of our customers may still use and rely on their 2G devices. What we're committing to do is provide the necessary information and guidance on potential upgrade options.
That was Sherrod Alain, Chief Technology and Information Officer of Digicel Barbados. And Trinidad and Tobago's government authorities intervened to ease mounting frustration over prolonged cargo delays by Trinbago Express, USA, at the port of Spain, as new data pointed to rising price pressures in the economy. On Saturday, Works and Infrastructure Minister Gerline Jean, Port Authority Chairman Dr. Rodney Ram Roop, and senior officials visited Shed 10 to oversee the accelerated release of shipments and meet affected customers. The backlog, which disrupted the flow of consumer goods at a peak import period, had raised concerns about supply chain reliability and the financial strain on small businesses. The intervention also coincided with a slight uptick in inflation. The Central Statistical Office reported that annual inflation for November reached 0.5%, up from 0.4% in October, and matching the rate recorded a year earlier. The All Items Index rose to 125.2, representing a 0.2% increase over the previous month. While inflation remains low, economists warn that any choke point in the import system could add pressure on retail prices, making the government's push to clear the backlog particularly timely. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 26 securities, of which 7 advanced, 6 declined, and 13 traded firm. Leading today's winners are Unilever Caribbean, JMMB Group, Ansa McCall, and Massey Holdings. Leading today's losers are LJ Williams B, Scotiabank Trinidad and Tobago, CIBC Caribbean Bank, and Grace Kennedy. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All TNT Index advanced by 4.67 points or 0.34% to close at 1,363.59. The Composite Index advanced by 1.53 points or 0.16% to close at 942.07. The cross-listed index declined by 0.27 points or 0.39% to close at 68.71. The SME index remained at 94.24. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
How may I assist you today?
I want to open an account for me and my son.
That's great. Let me see your documents. I understand you want to know about our savings account. Let me show you a few accounts and the benefits of each account.
Why do you need so many documents from my mommy?
It's called KYC, Know Your Customer. This helps us to protect you and treat you right. Thanks for the documents. Take a look at this brochure. Let's discuss savings accounts. A savings account is an interest-bearing deposit account. Customers with savings deposit accounts are covered up to $1.2 million per ban, so you don't have anything to worry about.
This financial literacy tip is brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, promoting financial inclusion. For more information, visit our BOJ Real Talk playlist on our YouTube channel.
Welcome back. In international news, global mergers and acquisitions are closing out 2025 at full throttle, with total deal value climbing to nearly $5 trillion, marking one of the strongest years for deal making since the pandemic era. At the center of the frenzy is Warner Brothers Discovery, which has become the target of an increasingly competitive bidding war. Multiple media and private capital players are circling the company, driving up valuations and forcing investment banks and legal teams to stay active deep into the holiday season. Reports indicate that easier financing conditions, pent-up corporate restructuring, and the availability of private capital have helped to push more mega deals across the finish line. For many companies, shedding non-core assets and repositioning for growth in 2026 has become a top priority. And while deal makers are busy reshaping corporate balance sheets, tech companies are turning to the bond market to fund the next phase of artificial intelligence expansion. Global technology companies have issued a record amount of debt in 2025 as firms race to finance massive investments in artificial intelligence infrastructure. According to reports, tech-related bond issuance topped $400 billion this year, driven largely by spending on data centers, advanced chips, cloud computing, and AI-powered platforms. Major technology firms are locking in long-term funding, while interest rates remain relatively stable. However, analysts caution that rising leverage levels could pressure balance sheets if earnings growth fails to keep pace with spending. Still, investors have shown a strong appetite for tech debt, betting that AI-driven productivity gains will deliver future returns strong enough to justify today's borrowing. As traditional tech firms scale up through debt, crypto companies are taking a different path, expanding their business models altogether. Cryptocurrency exchange Coinbase is pushing deeper into financial services, announcing the acquisition of prediction markets firm The Clearing Company. The deal marks Coinbase's 10th acquisition this year, underscoring its strategy to diversify beyond trading fees as crypto market volatility persists. By entering the prediction market space, Coinbase is positioning itself at the intersection of data, forecasting, and regulated financial products, an area drawing increasing attention from both investors and regulators. The move highlights how crypto firms are evolving into broader fintech players as competition intensifies and regulatory scrutiny tightens globally. And finally, we turn to Europe, where fresh economic data is adding another layer of uncertainty to global markets. The United Kingdom's economic outlook has taken a hit after official forecasts downgraded growth expectations for this coming year. Slower consumer spending, weak business investment, and lingering effects of tight monetary policy are weighing on the UK economy, according to updated projections. The downgrade has added to broader global market unease, pushing some investors towards safe haven assets while reinforcing expectations that central banks may need to remain cautious heading into 2026. So as 2025 draws to a close, global markets are being shaped by aggressive deal-making, an AI-fueled spending boom, strategic pivots in crypto, and renewed concerns about economic growth in Europe. Those are the stories, the top international stories that are through this one different. Those are the top international business stories we're tracking. Okay. All right, ready? Those are the top international business stories we're tracking today. Stay with us. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break. And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Jamaica moves to tap Global Loss and Damage Fund after 41% GDP shock. Regionally, PSC Guyana urges entrepreneurs to tap new financing support. And internationally, M&A frenzy ignites as Warner Brothers draws rival bids. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rachelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.